What's up, Breaks runners? Mike here from Next Opportunity Events. This is your final pre-race briefing that we're doing this year in lieu of our normal Friday night get-together. Normally on Friday night we have a dinner, a get-together, shaking hands, meeting everybody, meeting each other, saying hello. We have a safety briefing. We get to talk to some people from the local community, the park officials. I'm really bummed we're going to miss that this year, but hopefully next year we'll be back, bigger, better than ever. We'll be back to something that looks like normal, hopefully, and we'll get to have our post-race celebration again, our Friday night dinner and meal and all that good stuff. Maybe we'll even do something on Sunday morning too, maybe breakfast. Anyway, I'm gonna make this pretty short. It's Thursday night as I'm recording this. You're gonna be watching this on Friday. So right now, as I'm recording this, it's about 9 o'clock. I need to get to bed because I'm getting up at 4 a.m. to head to the breaks and get everything set up before you guys show up tomorrow afternoon. Well, tonight, I guess. So I'm just gonna go slide by slide. Most of this you've already heard either by stuff I've posted on social media. It's also on the webpage and the event guide. I'm just gonna elaborate on some things and get into some nitty gritty about things you can expect tomorrow while you're at the race. So let's get into it. First thing I want to talk to you guys about is course marking. So you're going to see two kinds of course markings while you're out on the trails tomorrow. One is going to be pink and white striped ribbons like you see here. I know you can't really see the stripes in this picture, but I know at some points I saw while I was marking the course earlier in the week, I saw some solid orange ribbons. I saw some solid pink ribbons. Now, if you see anything like that, you need to just ignore it. Our ribbons are pink and white striped. So when you see something like this, like you see in the picture, you need to run toward it. The other markings that you're going to see are white flags that are in the ground, and those will actually have our Next Opportunity Events logo on them. So white flags in the ground, pink and white striped ribbons hanging on the trees. And remember, the white flags in the ground will have our logo on them. That helps, just kind of make them look a little bit more official so nobody takes them. Also helps you know that that's definitely one of the race markings. So again, white flags in the ground, pink ribbons on the trees. They will not be on a particular side of the trail. We don't do that. That's getting a little bit too in the weeds. So if you see something like that, run toward it. The flags in the ground, you'll want to pay attention to those, especially when you start seeing a whole bunch in a row. I do that to draw your attention to it, and often that's because there's a turn coming up. And what I'll do is I'll dot those around, dot around a turn. So and I do the same thing with ribbons. So when you start to see 2 or 3 or 4 markings together, pay attention because that probably means there's a turn right there. So you'll see some of these signs at some key intersections that say stay right, stay left, or turn right, turn left, go straight. They'll have words on them like this one. This one says inbound. What that means is I'm talking about inbound and outbound in relation to your turnaround at the Birch Knob aid station. So outbound would be what you're doing in the morning as you're running out toward Birch Knob, then you turn around and then you're on your inbound trip. So keep that in mind as you see signs that say inbound or outbound. If you see an inbound sign, but it's race morning and you're on your way to the Birch Knob aid station, you're on your outbound trip. So don't pay attention to that sign. Only look for signs that say outbound. So you're gonna have to think a little bit about when you come to these signs. Am I inbound? Am I outbound? Have I turned around? Have I made my turnaround at Birch Knob yet? But hopefully that makes sense to everybody. I do at some points, I think only maybe 1 or 2 spots did I do any marking like this where I actually pull a ribbon across like that. And what I want you to do, like when you see something like this, just follow that line. Do not cross it. Don't go under it. Don't go over it. Follow that line exactly. Like in this particular instance, you're just going to walk right across those rocks nice and slow because they're very slippery. And yeah, just follow that line. Another course marking that you can be aware of that are not ours. These are, as you see in this picture, you can see that that bright yellow neon reflective marking on that tree there. That signifies the Pine Mountain Trail. Most of the race is on the Pine Mountain Trail. Once you cross the river and you come up the mountain, you go out to Birch Knob, you turn around. Most of that is the Pine Mountain Trail. Again, that doesn't mean you're on the race course, but that does mean that you're on the Pine Mountain Trail. So if you are lost, this is why I bring this up. If you're lost and you see one of these, you at least know you are on the Pine Mountain Trail, which is a Kentucky State Park. So if you're lost and you see one of these, you at least know you're on the Pine Mountain Trail. You may not be on the race course, but things could be much worse for you if you do see those. All right. I want to show you a couple pictures here of Center Creek. This is the creek that you're going to be passing and running through in the morning, very first thing in the morning, and later in the evening. So it's kind of the way that you get out of the park proper and then go out onto the road, run over to the Kentucky side. And then in the evening on your way back, you'll take the road back and you'll come down this way as well. The reason I show you these pictures is just to illustrate what I want to show you here is the rocks on the side of the creek. So don't pay attention to the water itself, but I want you to look like this picture on the left. Check out these rocks on the left and right side of the water. You're going to be tempted to kind of tiptoe on those because this picture on the left, that is the trail. The trail goes straight up that creek. And I know everybody's natural tendency is to not get wet, but I promise you, if you try to tiptoe around the water here, you're just going to slide right back in. Those rocks are incredibly slippery, and if you try to avoid the water here, you're going to end up with a busted tailbone or worst case scenario, a busted head, and we don't want that. I'd rather you have wet feet than a cracked skull. So when you get to these spots, just like in the picture on the right as well, you can see just how wet and slippery these rocks on the sides are. And I promise you, if you try to step on those, you're just going to slide right into the water anyways. The best thing for you to do is to get right in the water, get good footing, take your time, go very slow, and that's much safer than trying to step on slippery rocks that are slanted like this. This is the same actual location as these. I always show everybody this picture of my friend Marion from the first year of the Breaks Ultramarathon back in 2018. One thing that's cool about this particular location is that the creek runs pretty much right down the Kentucky-Virginia border. So Marion's kind of standing with 1 foot in Kentucky, 1 foot in Virginia at that point, which is pretty cool. But also, I'm just illustrating to you that the trail literally goes straight down this creek. And as you can see here, she's doing the exact right thing, which is just coming right down the middle. It seems counterintuitive, but trust me, these rocks on the side are just too slippery. And just this is how you want to go through this section right here, is just straight up the water. All right, last be careful. This might not be the last be careful slide, but I always show this picture as well. You'll have several locations that look just like this. Up there to the left, that is a very high cliff line where if you were to fall off that, you're not going to make it. Yeah, it's going to be a couple 100 feet to the bottom, and yeah, that's a life ender right there. So the trail, however, you can kind of see how it goes. It's not too far from the ledge, the trail itself. So what you're going to want to do, you're going to be tempted to get a good photo and get that cool selfie. Please resist that urge. Do not get too close to these ledges because, like I said, that's not a fall where you break a leg or break an arm. You don't come back from that fall. So just be mindful when you're tempted to get that photo. Of course, snap the photo, great. Stay away from the ledge though. Be smart while we're out there. This is a photo of the final climb. Once you get back into the park, you're going to come up what is known as the river trail. And this is not an exaggeration. You can see just up and above my left shoulder in this photo, there's a blue marker on the tree to my left. So you know I am actually on the official park trail here. I'm not just being a little over dramatic. So this is actually what you're going to have to come up at about mile 41 or so in the race tomorrow. So be careful, go slow here. You are going to have to put your hands in the dirt and get dirty. Just know, keep this in mind as you pace yourself too. You don't want to go too hard because you got to climb up this sucker at the very end, and you're welcome. This photo here is, I said like 2 slides ago, was my last be careful slide. This photo here is actually the initial descent that you're going to come down at about mile 1.5 on race morning. You're going to be coming down this guy in the dark. Again, this is the actual trail right here. All these rocks and leaves and down trees. This is the trail. As you see in this picture, I'm coming down the actual trail. Very dangerous, very tricky. You're going to be coming down it in the dark. I would encourage you guys to go slow. I'm not giving any medals to whoever gets to the bottom first. So please go slow, help each other out. The idea here is to just get through the race safely. I know everybody wants to get a good time. You want to finish before dark, or you want to finish before the cutoff. Really, I want you to finish safely. So when you're coming down this, just navigate these rocks very carefully, very intentionally, help each other out, and we'll get through this okay. The river crossing, we are crossing. The river's been pretty low all week. We don't anticipate any rain. There's no rain forecast until Sunday morning. And then it's going to start storming, it looks like, on Sunday. But right now, the river's low. I crossed it myself without a rope or any assistance on Tuesday. So this is what it's going to look like for you guys. We will have a rope strung across the river and right about where the photographer would be standing here. We do have a raft guide on site who is search and rescue trained. His name's Jason. He's done this race every year since the very beginning, and I trust him to keep us all safe. So he puts up a line for us. The idea is just like you see in this picture. You hold onto the line, you take your time. What I always tell everybody, take a step. Make sure that you've got a good, you took a good step and you've got good footing before you put any weight on that foot. And then put your weight on it, move again, just go nice and slow and hang onto that rope and we'll be fine. But we are crossing the river. The river's low enough, thank goodness. And we're not going to have any rain between now and Sunday, hopefully. But we're crossing the river. All right, so now we're going to get into the boring slides with no more photos. Road, on your outbound trip, we do have about a mile or so-ish of running on the road. Our road is a little unfortunate though because there's not much of a shoulder. It's a very windy road. It's a very busy road. Saturday morning, thankfully, it's not as busy as it is during the week, but you do have a lot of coal trucks and a lot of trucks coming from the rock quarries nearby that are just speeding down that road. So in the morning, basically what you want to do is run on the side of the road where the flags are. That means in the morning on your outbound trip, you're going to be running on the left. And on the left side of the road, and on your inbound trip in the afternoon, evening, you're going to be running on the right side of the road. Basically, just see the flags, the white next opportunity events flags, and run on the side where the flags are. A couple rules that I want to really stress here about running on the road: run single file. Do not bunch up. We should be socially distancing anyways. Even if you're running with your buddies, we should be 10 to 15 feet apart while we're running, no matter what, because of COVID. But I want you to run single file on the road. That is always the case, COVID or no COVID, just because there's just no shoulder there hardly at all. So run single file, keep your eyes up and keep your ears open. Turn off your headphones and earbuds while you're on the road. It's going to be really critical, especially in the evening on your inbound trip when you're running on the right side of the road and oncoming traffic is to your back. You're not going to want to have any earbuds in. You want to be able to hear the cars coming and the trucks coming. So run single file, don't bunch up, keep your eyes up, stay attentive, keep your ears open, turn off your music just for that mile or so, and make sure you don't get hit. Let's talk about other stuff. I already talked about inbound and outbound. The aid station cutoffs and the finish line cutoffs are firm down to the minute. Now, that's assuming that we start at 6 a.m. If we start at 6:02, of course, we'll just push all those cutoffs back by 2 minutes. But I'm intent on starting at 6 a.m. on the dot. Know what those aid station cutoffs are. Double check the event guide and the race webpage for what the aid station cutoffs are. A few, I will stress: 1 p.m. at Birch Knob, 2:15 p.m. at Ranger Cabin. Those are the ones that are tough to get to. And also you're going to be feeling kind of the worst at those aid stations, especially those of you at the back of the pack. Around 2:15 at Ranger Cabin, it is hot. So just make sure you get to that aid station, get in, get out, and know what those aid station cutoffs are. But those are the two that I really want to stress. There's no hard cutoff at Goldfish Pond in the afternoon. Soft cutoff is 4 p.m. If you don't get there by 4 p.m., we're not going to pull you, but just know you're going to be hard pressed to get in and out of Carson Island by the 6:30 cutoff down there. The one thing I want to say about cutoffs, once you get to Ranger Cabin, look at the course map tonight, look at the aid stations and the cutoffs and the distances tonight. It's going to be very important for you to be very honest with yourself about your own abilities in this race tomorrow, because it's very unsafe for us to put you in cars with our volunteers, and it's very unsafe for you to head back up on the mountain from Ranger Cabin the second time if you don't think you're going to make it, because you've got a 7+ mile stretch out to the Goldfish Pond, and then once you get to the Goldfish Pond, we cannot get you out of there. Goldfish Pond is only accessible by ATV, so our volunteers there are going to be very, very stretched thin if they have to get you off the mountain. And once they do, it is about an hour round trip to get you down off the mountain and for them to get back up. So if you are thinking, if you're at Ranger Cabin and you're thinking, I don't know if I can finish this, you probably are not going to be able to finish it. And let's just be blunt with ourselves. Let's be honest. This is not the year to prove how tough we are. So just know what those cutoffs are and know what the timing is and the distances, and know that Goldfish Pond, on your way back in the afternoon, there's a long trek from Ranger Cabin to Goldfish Pond. And once you get to Goldfish Pond, like I said, it's ATVs only. It's not like you can just have somebody come pick you up. So you could be waiting there. Even if you drop there, you could be waiting there for an hour or more. So just keep that in mind. Drop bags, we've got drop bags at Ranger Cabin. You go there twice, so you can either bring 2 drop bags. I would just, pack a little extra in 1 drop bag, please. And then at Birch Knob and Carson Island aid station, Carson Island is where you have crew also. No rigid containers as drop bags. I won't accept them. That means a cooler, like a box cooler, plastic cooler. I've had people bring plastic 5-gallon buckets. I won't accept it. Just keep in mind that volunteers have to pack all that into their cars and carry it. You don't need to bring a cooler of ice. You don't need to bring an entire change of clothing. I always tell people, if you can't fit it in a gallon Ziploc bag, I think you're packing too much, to be perfectly honest with you. So a drawstring bag, a small little sling bag, a gallon Ziploc bag, I think is perfect. Anything like that that's collapsible. But like I said, if you bring something that's hard, rigid plastic, like a cooler or drop bag, I'm going to leave it behind. I won't take it to the aid station. So just know that, understand it. Also understand, I will not be shipping any drop bags back after that. We will just donate anything that can be donated to charity and throw away any food waste that is left behind in drop bags. So if you don't pick it up on Saturday night, then it is going to be donated. All right, Pacers must sign the waiver. Everybody got a waiver yesterday. You need to sign that electronically. We will not be doing the pen and paper thing this year, but it will be required. Anybody who does not sign their waiver electronically will be marked as a DNS for the race. Oh, somebody just came in. Sorry. So if you don't sign your waiver, I'll just mark you as a DNS. So make sure you do it. If you're having trouble, there will be QR codes for you to scan with your phone at the race on Friday evening and on Saturday morning. Just make sure that you do it and sign it. That's the USA Track and Field waiver for our insurance company. So it is very non-negotiable. Crew is at Carson Island only. Aid station supplies, as I've mentioned many times before, are going to be very minimal this year. We're going to have, chips and pickles at each one. I got a bunch of peanuts for a few of the aid stations, some pork rinds here and there. We got some sweet stuff that we're throwing in there. And of course, water, Coke, and sword everywhere. Make sure you check in and out of every aid station. Every aid station is going to have a volunteer with a checklist. It's going to be your responsibility as the runner to make sure that the volunteer checks you in and checks you out. So as you come in, you're going to have a bib number. Make sure you are shouting your bib number. Find that volunteer with the checklist and just tell them, hey, I'm bib number 5. I'm here. Great, and they'll check you off. And then when you're leaving, make sure they know when you're leaving. Especially some of these aid stations can get pretty busy. Don't leave without making sure that a volunteer knows you're leaving. That's important for us to keep track of everybody and know where you are at all times. Tonight, Friday night, we will be doing a packet pickup. There's not much of a packet. It's a shirt, a bib, and your buff that you can use as your face covering on race morning and at aid stations and at the finish line. So please come tonight and pick that up. You can, if you're having any problems signing your waiver, we can get your waiver signed electronically again. Please don't print it out, bring it to me. I won't take it. Please don't scan it and email it to me. I won't take it. It's got to be done by the online form that I sent out yesterday. There's not going to be any in-person meeting tonight. There's no dinner tonight. We've been over that. Thank you, COVID. But please come tonight, pick up your shirt and your bib and your buff. That just gives us less to do. It gives us shorter lines on race morning. I encourage everybody, since we're not having a meal tonight, please get takeout from the park restaurant. There's a link here. You can just go to breakspark.com to look at the menu and get contact information. You can call, put in your order, and you can bring it up and eat with us at the packet pickup, as long as we're all spaced out enough. Show your support for Breaks Interstate Park that way. We had talked about, arranging some sort of deal, and, it just became apparent to us that, everybody suffered financially this year. We did, but the park did as well. They are, I believe, almost 80% self-funded. Being an interstate park, they get a little bit of funding from Virginia. They get a little bit of funding from Kentucky, not a lot from either of those. They are funded through lodging. They're funded through fees that they charge for their zip lines and their elk tours and their restaurant. So please show your support for the park and just go buy a meal or 2 or 3 this weekend at the park restaurant. You can dine in, capacity is limited, or you can get takeout, take it back to your lodge or your cabin, or come up and eat with us at a table at the start finish line. So race morning, everybody needs to check in on race morning. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking everybody's temperature. That's going to be contactless. We'll have one of our volunteers taking everybody's temperature. We'll zap you with the gun. Not really zap you, but we'll take your temperature. We'll record it, and that will be how you check in for the race. Anybody who doesn't get their temp taken on race morning will be a DNS. So make sure you're there by 6 o'clock so we can start on time. Expect long lines at check-in. Expect long lines at the restroom. So get there super, super early. If you're planning on showing up at 5:50, just please don't do that. Please don't do that. Show up early enough to drop your drop bags off, get stretched out, get checked in, get your temp taken, and just make sure everything's good. And if you're staying in one of the lodges, you can come over at 5 o'clock, get checked in, go back to your room and just chill for a little bit. So that's the beauty of this race and having it at the park. So please arrive early. In the starting chute, we're not really doing waves, but we are going to space everybody out by 10 feet. So we're going to have 2 of you side by side. That should put you about 10 to 12 feet apart that way. And then as we move back through the chute, we're just going to space ourselves out as much as we can. And as we start, please maintain that space throughout the first mile or so as we're on the road. It's going to be very important that once I fire the gun, I know nerves are going to be up and the butterflies are going. Everybody's excited. You want to race. Many of us, this is our first race. I feel like this is my first day back to work in over 6 months. But please resist the urge to just run over the person in front of you, maintain that 10-foot bubble around you, and then we'll inevitably start to bunch up when we hit the trail, but do your best throughout the day to maintain social distancing. I am going to be requiring face coverings while you're doing check-in, while you're in line, while you're in the starting chute. So as we're getting ready to start, keep your face covered, and up until the moment that I fire the gun, you are going to be required to have your face covered with either a face mask or the buff that we provide you. So at the aid stations, let me step through this real quick. A lot of this is going to be redundant. I've already gone over this. Face coverings are required at the aid station. So once you get to an aid station, just pull that buff over your mouth. If you need to eat something or drink something, get what you need, get your food, get your Coke, step away from the aid station, do what you need to do. Don't help yourself to anything at the aid station. If you need some pickles, you need some chips, you need some Coke, ask a volunteer. They'll put it in a bowl for you and hand it to you. Do not help yourself. We do not want people sticking their hands into anything at the aid stations. Don't hand your bottles or bladders to the volunteers. What you'll do, you got a bladder, you're going to unscrew it yourself. I know sometimes late in a race, your dexterity can kind of go down the tubes. That's one thing we just got to deal with this year. You're going to unscrew the tops of your bottles. You're going to get your bladder out yourself. Our volunteers are not going to touch anything of yours during the race. So as you get to an aid station, if you need to refill, go over to the volunteer who's doing it. Take the top off your bottle. I would like some sword, please. They will have a pitcher. They'll pour it into your bottle, and then you put the lid back on and go on. So don't pick up anything from the table. Like I said, treat volunteers with the utmost respect. This is always the case, but especially this year, volunteers are taking a huge risk putting themselves in this situation with the coronavirus being present. So thank them, thank them, thank them. They are giving up not only their Saturday, but putting themselves at risk by voluntarily participating in an event during this time. So please treat them with respect and kindness and love, and sanitize your hands constantly to this weekend. All right, dropping out, I talked a little bit about DNFing, and I won't go too much more into it right now. Just if you're unsure that you can make it to the next aid station, it's probably a good time to just go ahead and call it a day. This isn't the year to, take those kind of risks, just because of what we would have to go through to get you, and then the risks we would have to put search and rescue people at or other volunteers at in order to get you back safely. So if you're at an aid station and you need to tell a volunteer, like if you're at Carson Island where your crew is, don't just hop in the car and go. Tell somebody. We need to know that you're dropping. If you need transportation back, we will arrange that for you. Just be patient. Once you drop, you could be waiting for a very long time to get transported back to the start-finish line, but we will get you back. Just be patient, and we'll get everything taken care of for you. We've got a parked van, or a bus rather, going out to Birch Knob and Ranger Cabin to take people back. But again, just be patient. And we'll get you back. Already talked about dropping out of Goldfish Pond. It's an ATV only one, so we really can't get you down off the mountain. So if you drop out there, we're going to really strongly encourage you to get down the mountain unless you are injured. If you're not injured, we're going to tell you you need to keep moving. Birch Knob Ranger Cabin, you'll get a ride back in the park bus. This is a bus where they've cut out the windows, so it's pretty much an open air vehicle. They're only at half capacity on the bus, so everybody's spaced out accordingly. Masks will be required on the bus, and keep in mind anybody that wants to fuss about being on the bus, wants to fuss about their face covering, you'll just be DNF'd and probably banned from future races. Just be cool about the masks this time, regardless of how you feel about things. At the finish line, no post-race food service this year. Unfortunately, we're not cooking anything. We kind of did away with all food preparation. The health departments are really watching us this year, so we're only serving pre-prepared food. So basically at the finish line there will be basic aid station stuff. So again, the park restaurant closes at 9. I know some of you are not going to make it back by then, and that's okay, and that's just a huge bummer that I acknowledge. And this is one of those lose-lose situations for everybody. But no prepared food, no dinner at the finish line. I just encourage you to make other arrangements and buy food from the park restaurant if you can, please. You're welcome to hang around, cheer for your fellow runners. Masks are required if you're going to be shouting and raising your voice, or if you're going to be near another person. I'm going to ask you to put a mask on. Absolutely no hugs, high fives, fist bumps, anything like that this year. Let's just make it through this year, and we'll get back to doing all that fun stuff next year in 2021. Please stay out of the picnic shelter as much as possible. That's typically a space where everybody likes to congregate naturally. That's part of the beauty and what we love about this race is being right there at the picnic shelter. We can all just sort of sit down at a picnic table together and share war stories of the sorry, I shouldn't say war stories, that's a little insensitive, but share stories of the trail and what we just went through. So but unfortunately none of that this year. We are going to have tables outside, and I ask you to sit at those. If you've got folding chairs, that would be great. We're a little limited on chairs this year. And as with the aid stations, once you finish, you're going to be thirsty, you're going to be hungry. Please still don't help yourself to any water or food or sword or Coke. Ask a volunteer. And that looks like it for my slides. That's all I've got to say. I'm going to go ahead and close this down now and send this out to you via email. If you do have questions and you email us, I will get back to you on Monday. If you send me a Facebook message through the Next Opportunity events page or the Breaks Ultra page, I will get back to you on Monday. I'm not going to be much on the internet, so if you've got questions, check the race webpage, check the event guide, ask a fellow runner. We'll get through this. I will see you all tonight.